Good evening. This is the market update for buy sell short for Tuesday, May 22nd. Nice little rally over the last couple of days. At the highs, we were up about 200 points from the Friday lows when we ended up going long some SPY calls. Some nice follow through to the upside today. Then we had one of our late day swoons. There was no real news out there. Usually we end up getting some sort of European nonsense rumor out there, and the fact that we got none still gave traders a reason to sell. And what was going around was people were booking profits saying, the other shoe's probably going to drop in Europe. Let's book our gains. And they slapped the market down going into the close. Now, if you look here at the 15-minute chart, we're looking at the two lines. We've got the red line here, that's the 200-day moving average, and the blue line, that is the 50-day moving average. Getting pretty tight. We're possibly looking at a golden cross on the 15-minute time frame, possibly tomorrow, definitely by Thursday. And as you will recall, over the last several years, golden crosses on the 15-minute chart have been very profitable. Average gain is about 150 points. Typically, we see a dip right on the cross before we go in that run. If we cross around this area, we could see a move up to our 12.7, 12.800 level, which is what we were looking for on this bounce in the market. Deeply oversold here on the 15-minute chart thanks to that late day sell-off. And actually, what has been the case quite a bit lately is, especially when we get sell-offs into the close and then we get no bad news overnight, we tend to see a little bit of a bounce back the next morning. So let's see if that is the case tomorrow. Dow daily chart, not the prettiest candle to say the least here. We did touch the 8-day moving average, which is a positive, but I mean, we've got the 20-day all the way up here at 12,767, a couple of hundred points higher. And that tends to be a magnet, especially on steep sell-offs like we've had recently on this. And a lot of stocks that we are entering right now have a similar chart setup as the Dow. Stochastics under 20, this really negative MACD trend, but it is a trend. And RSI under 30 and a bounce in progress. All eyes will be on bounces back to the 20-day exponential. That is typically what I look for when we get these kind of bounces in the market. Put call ratio, recall I talked about that on Friday, which was the reason we ended up going long some SPY calls, which were a nice 20% mover for us so far. As you can see, the put call ratio splat, and that is not uncommon. Remember I said a reading up there at that 145 plus level typically results in a rebound in the market. 200 points, nothing to turn your nose up at, but nothing really big to talk about yet. S&P 500 chart actually does look better than the other indice charts. We are closed just below the downtrend line of this bullish falling wedge here. We were above it earlier in the session, and again, we're still looking for that move back to the 20-day exponential. So what's going on in the markets right now? Well, like I was saying in the chat room, when we have this red in the indices, we want to see stocks continue to bounce. Traders have gotten very, very used to seeing red over the last month. And really over the last 2 months, this market has sucked balls, not to mince words. And, we did have a little bit of a retrace. Traders are still very, very skittish out there. It really does not take much to stampede them one way or the other. And going into the close today, you saw them quickly stampede out the door thinking there was some sort of European news. If we get no news tomorrow, they'll chase and stampede us higher on the open. That's just the way the market is right now. This is a nicely oversold setup we have in the markets right now. So unless we break below that Friday lows, I'm inclined to stay slanted towards the bullish stance. Now, am I rushing out and buying a ton of stocks? No. We're still playing the small ball game. We're taking small gains when they come. We had some nice plays in the chat room today. Small gains, they add up. Tight stops, small gains. Once we start to see some of those plays jet and run without us, then we can look to press. We can look to hang around a little bit longer. A couple of stocks we're looking at. WAVX, this is one we got into today in the chat room. 97, 98 cents. We ended up getting a pop to the 107 highs. Retrace on the close. But again, you'll recall the circle here, green line, 20-day exponential, 116. This is our target. RSI out of the basement. Stochastics under 20. MACD is building. Positive ADX is crossing. These are going to be a lot of the setups we are going to see. And I was kind of talking about it in the chat room today. A lot of possible setups. A lot of the charts look like this. We've got a 2-day bounce. Day 3, day 4, this is when traders start to go, is this the top in the stock? Is it going to fall back down? Is it going to crater? This is when you see some of these gains maybe pause before they explode higher, as the sell-off that traders have come used to seeing doesn't happen. And we're going to be looking hopefully for something similar in the overall indices. ACLS, this is another one. Check this stock out. This one's down, what, 80? No, it's not 80. Down 80 cents over the last 5 weeks. That's a 40% drop. No news. 20-day exponential is at 121. That is 20% higher. That is about as extreme as they get usually. I mean, they can get further away, but this has come down on new news and could give a very quick snapback move. And this is one I'm probably going to look to ease into over the next couple of days and wait and see for the inevitable bounce. You can see all the indicators are deeply oversold. These are the kind of plays we're going to be dipping our toes into the water over the next couple of days. And unless Europe sinks into the seas, this is the approach we're going to, continue to take. In case you missed it, the Facebook, let's pull up Facebook's. I mean, we got to talk about Facebook. IPO is now considered a flop. Let's look at the 15-minute chart. You get a better idea. Splat-ola. And the news out today does not give anyone any encouragement in this market. News is out that during the roadshow, this is while they increased the offering price and the offering size, that the lead underwriters, analysts, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, were downgrading their estimates for the stock, which is one thing. It's pretty unheard of for that to happen, especially with a price increase and an offering increase. But now word is coming out that they were telling selected clients that they were reducing their exposure. Big no-no and very illegal, or if it's not, it should be, disseminating information like that to a few people while selling it and raising the price to everyone else. Bad. And, if these banks don't get big-time fines and censorship over how they handled this Facebook IPO, you're going to have a lot of average people just really think this market is as crooked can be. Now, granted, it is extremely crooked, but if these kind of guys can get away with what they did on the Facebook IPO, you're going to see a lot of people turned off on this market. And, as a side note, the funny thing is, I believe Facebook was the highest retail participation in an IPO ever. We'd have to go back and check, but I know they were touting it as a very high retail participation stock. And then look what comes out. They were downgrading estimates. They pumped the price. Essentially, they dumped stock on Joe Average. Very bad. But anyway, going into the market right now, should be setting up for a bounce going into the open tomorrow, barring Europe sinking into the sea, and that's how we're going to play it. Not a whole lot of plays on the pop scan. Well, let me correct that. There's quite a number of plays on the pop scan, but I've had to go through and edit it quite a bit to come up with, because we've got so many charts that look like this. Big down, couple of up days. Are they going to continue to move? I'd like to see us miss a couple more before I start increasing the size of that. Got a couple of short setups on it, definitely to keep an eye on here. And yep, that's pretty much it. If you've got any questions, shoot me an email. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the chat room tomorrow. Good night.